Welcome to Parenting Pioneers, the podcast where we journey through the vibrant communities of urban life, discovering the opportunities and challenges that await today's working parents. In a world that's changing faster than ever, how do we raise resilient, curious, and empowered kids? So whether you're navigating the digital playground, seeking local adventures, or striving for that ever-elusive work-life harmony, we're here to guide, inspire, and connect. I'm your host, David Watkins, and together we'll explore stories, strategies, and talk with experts that empower us to thrive in the parenting landscape. So parents, pioneers, let's find our way. We want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Plan My Kids. As busy parents, we all know the stress of trying to plan and organize activities for our kids. That's where Plan My Kids comes in. They make planning and attending kids' activities easy, offering personalized programs tailored to your family's interests and needs. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with planning kids' activities, let Plan My Kids take the wheel. Visit their website at planmykids.com and start your plan today. Remember, with Plan My Kids, you got this. And most importantly, your kids know this. Thanks again to Plan My Kids for their support of the podcast. In this engaging episode of Parenting Pioneers, we welcomed Cheyenne Levinson, the social media manager for Triangle Families Explorer and business owner of the Little Oak Collective. Cheyenne shares her journey as a community leader in the Triangle area to create family-friendly experiences and solve community challenges. She discusses the evolution of Triangle Families Explorer through COVID and its growth through social media management and community events with parents. Cheyenne also discusses her new venture, Little Oak Collective, a children's consignment boutique, highlighting its community-driven inception and the unique experiences it offers. Let's find our way with Cheyenne.
Hi, Cheyenne. How are you doing today? Welcome to the podcast.
I am great. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome. All right, to start us off, can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your journey to becoming a community leader here in the Triangle?
Yeah, when I was reading over the podcast notes, I don't know if I've ever used that word to describe myself, a community leader in the Triangle. And I think it's probably time that I lean into that because that is true. So I haven't really thought about it in that way, but you're right. I think it all just started for me as a mom looking for community for myself. And I just took every opportunity I could to solve problems and fill gaps that I felt like weren't being offered to families in the Triangle. And the more that I just sort of followed my intuition and trusted myself and leaned into it and honestly just listened to the community, I've always, in everything I've done, asked for feedback from whether it be the one person that I'm with or the 50 people that I'm with. And so that's kind of how it's all started, is finding these gaps and just leaning towards them and listening to the feedback and then rinse and repeat.
Yeah. I've been following you on social media for a while, and I've noticed that you ask questions to your audience, right? Like, hey, what do you want? What are you looking for? And that's great to get that feedback directly from your constituents.
Yeah. Everything that I do, it's not, it started off as problems that I thought needed to be solved. And then once I built any sort of audience, I'm so grateful that I've been able to ask those questions and get really wonderful responses and feedback, because it's not just about what problems I think need to be solved. It's about, what is everyone else needing? And Triangle Families Explorer started really at the beginning of COVID. So it was even more so important. And even just the social scene at that time, it was even more important to be listening to the community because things were so much more heightened at that time. And I think that that's part of how I've built trust with my community too, is because I started in a really heightened time and I've been intentional from the very beginning. That's where the trust has come. And I think that that's how I've now become a leader, is just because people really do trust my recommendations. And now with the store, which I know we'll get into later, they're now trusting this space to come shop at for their family. So it really has just been about creating this platform where people can trust me and the brand. And yeah.
Right. So it sounds like, the inspiration for Triangle Families Explorer was really about sort of solving your own problem first, right? And during this heightened time of trying to figure out what to do, especially during COVID. But how has it evolved over the last 2.5 years?
Yeah, so it really started because there was no one using Instagram as a platform for content. Everyone was doing websites, which were fine and great. And I think that the websites that list all of the things to do in the area, I think are still a wonderful resource. But no one was using photo and video content in this like engaging and accessible way to connect families to these businesses and experiences in just a way that was easy and entertaining and just accessible. And no one was doing it back then. And with my background in content creation and even like video editing, I was like, oh, I think I could actually do this in a way that like speaks to people and resonates with people. So that's how it all started. And it just really quickly grew because I was also one of the first people to do it in this very, very, very specific family niche of the triangle. I never tried to like capture all of North Carolina. I always really just tried to be the triangle. And even sometimes the triangle seems like so massive. But yeah, so that's how it started. And then, so it's evolved in the sense, it's interesting because where I'm at now, I've kind of come back to how I was at the beginning. But over the past 3 years, it's evolved in the sense of I did at a certain point start to do community events. And that was really amazing. And that was a huge indicator for me of how desperate people really were for community. And now I've kind of taken that element and I do it at the store. And so Triangle Families Explorer has really gotten back to its roots of just like high quality content. But the community is growing and, more people are moving to the Triangle every day. So I don't foresee that slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah. So interesting. So using, social platforms to help engage with, other families in the community. Do you find that there's certain ages that gravitate to that, or have you seen the youngest parents or the oldest parents sort of gravitate towards your platform?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think because the Triangle is so huge and I am only one person and I do things that my family does. And I have a 4 and 9-year-old. So it has been a little bit tricky to cover content for everyone. Because everyone does want the content. People with brand new babies are like, where on earth can I go with a 6-month-old baby? And then people with teenagers always are asking, where do I take these teenagers? That's like fun and not going to be this kid thing. And, that's like safe. And so everyone's looking for high quality experiences for their families. And, with things being so expensive, like people do really want to stay closer to home these days. And North Carolina is so amazing. There's no reason to really go that much further away. So to answer your question, everyone is looking for the content. And the way that I've started to be able to reach more people is bringing on contributors that have different age kids than me and that live in different parts of the Triangle. Because I have a 9-year-old. So we're going to start to lean more towards older kid content. But I really do want to fill that gap for babies. So I'm working on bringing on a team to help support me so we can reach everybody.
Yeah, that sounds great. So how has the community responded?
Yeah, I think this is the thing about the store is when you run a social media platform, there's, maybe one person will kind of reach out and be like, hey, thank you so much. We went and did this thing and we like love it. And we're just so grateful. But it doesn't actually happen as often as you think. So you're kind of in like this blank space. It's part of the reason why I would ask for feedback is because I'm like, what is resonating with you guys? Like, what do you really want to see? And now that I have the store and people can come and see me so often in real life, I've been getting this amazing feedback of how impactful Triangle Families Explore really has been for people. And it has just been so incredibly motivating to encourage me to keep going with it all because now I'm hearing daily feedback of we went to this restaurant or we went to this camping trip that we would never have been gone camping before, or I don't know, their in-laws are out of town and they took them on this really accessible walk or whatever it is. So yeah, the feedback has just been so wonderful. And I'm really grateful to the store that I get to connect with people in real life now, because it just keeps me going.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've mentioned the store a few times, so I'm going to sort of pop down to that a little bit. So, it's interesting because I've spent a lot of time in sort of e-commerce, and there's this whole idea of, you're online, but then you have a physical presence, and you kind of connect those two things. It makes, at least in the kind of the retail space, it makes it easier. It's like you shop online, you buy in store, or you pick up in store, and you've kind of created a little bit of that with your store. So tell me a little bit about the store as well.
So it's interesting because I've created it from a community standpoint, not from a retail experience standpoint. So people are feeling a part of something bigger because of Triangle Families Explore. And the reason why I keep bringing up the store too is because I've only been open for 4 months. So I'm just so in it right now. Where of course I love Triangle Families Explore, and we still do that content, but the store is just so fresh that it's very on my mind. But yeah, it's different because it's not like I post on Triangle Families Explore about products and then people come in and buy it. It's more connecting them to this whole community sense.
Right. You're selling experiences at the end of the day, right? So it's more of a service or experience. And so people see what you're doing online as experiences, but you're also creating experiences in the store as well, right?
Right. And I think people are feeling excited about the store because the whole reason I even was able to open it is because I launched a Kickstarter and raised the money to open the store through Triangle Families Explore, the platform. So everyone feels like a part of it because so many people contributed financially to opening this children's consignment store because so many people thought it was a good idea and wanted it. So it really is I just happen to be the one that is making things move forward. But it would not have happened without the whole community. So there's that piece of it where people are just so excited to come see this thing that came to life that they were a part of, that they think is a great idea and needed to happen. So yeah, and then you come into the store and it's this really great experience where you're finally offline and you're in person, and everyone needs gear and clothes and toys and books for their kids. It's just something that we all need. And it's secondhand and it's sustainable, and it's next to a park. It's just this whole beautiful experience. It kind of ties it all together.
Great. So can you share some of the experiences that you really enjoyed, or some of the destinations that you'd like our listeners to know about?
There are so many. I know every time I do an interview, this question always comes up. So I was more prepared today. One of the ones that is shocking to me that people do not know about is Prairie Ridge Eco Station. Prairie Ridge Eco Station is a nature playground that is sort of like a satellite campus of the Natural Science Museum here in Raleigh. That's who runs it and funds it. And it is one of my most favorite places. If it's nice weather and I want to be outside, that is where I'm going. It's just this lovely little walk down into this beautiful shaded nature play area with water play and pits, and just imagine a beautiful nature playground. And there's trails. So if you kind of wanted to add on a hike to your day, you could do that as well. I think because it's fall, I'm very in outdoor mode. The chainsaw log art hike at Umstead is such a good hike for kids. That's one of my favorites. I always recommend because it's really easy and you get to see this cool piece of art in the middle of it, which helps hype the kids up. We have also sort of created this niche for ourselves of glamping, and I'm so excited about it because my husband and I studied outdoor education in college. So the fact that we get to connect families to these really high quality outdoor experiences is special for us. So Gold River Camp right outside of Lake Lure is a really special place that I always love to plug people into. It's this renovated golden gem mine. I could go on, literally, I could do a whole podcast just about this. So I'll stop there.
Oh, that's great. And so for Prairie Ridge, generally, where is that located in the triangle?
Oh my gosh, I'm so bad at directions. I guess it's kind of by the state fairgrounds, actually. It's over by PNC. This is the thing. No one really realizes it's there. It's by this place where the helicopters always take up and land, that training facility. So that's kind of fun too, as the kids always see the helicopters. Yeah,
Great.
West
Awesome.
Raleigh.
Yeah. So you've been exploring yourself as a parent for a while, and you've probably come up with some really good skills, research skills to find these activities and experiences. So can you share some of your strategies and or resources that families can utilize to foster deeper connection with the city?
Yeah, I think that the things that I do might seem so obvious, but maybe people don't realize that they actually work. So the way that I find most of the things to do is on Google Maps. And the way that I do it is I oftentimes like pair coffee shops with like a park, or I pair like a kid-friendly brewery with a hike, or if we're going to go mountain biking, or if we want to go to the lake, like I pair sort of parts together, and I do that just on Google Maps. So I'll look up an area and find a playground, match it with a coffee shop. And that's oftentimes how I just explore. I'm trying to think what I did before social media, because now I'm just so plugged in that I kind of just know everything. You know, another great resource is Facebook mom groups. Facebook groups, that's pretty much why I have Facebook, is for the groups. And you just go and search, and it's like this so much information. And this is why Triangle Families Explore works, is I get that information and then I show people the experience and it being done. And it feels like, oh, well, if you see someone else doing it, makes you feel more confident to go do it. Whereas if you just read a comment on a Facebook group, you're still have so many questions. So I think that part of it too is just like, I think part of the reason this isn't necessarily a tool that connects people to things, it's more of a like mindset that I think is important to have if you want to get out and explore with your kids, is that it's never, ever, ever going to go the way that you think it's going to go. And just to, from the get-go, like lower your expectations. And it's not that that's a negative mindset. It's more of just like a realistic mindset. And I find if you lower your expectations, then you end up having, you know, a more positive experience, because it's kids at the end of the day that we're talking about. And so I think that that's really important. And I think that that's what stops people a lot of times from going out and exploring, is like fear of the uncomfortability of what might happen with your kids. So I just say, like, trust yourself, and just, it's okay if it's a disaster and you have to go home. I try to be really proactive about packing 1,000 snacks. That seems to help our family, and packing like a bunch of changes of clothes, and, you know, just like being more proactive on the get-go. So you can sort of mitigate some of those challenges. But yeah, now there's so many resources on, even just on Instagram. So I would say if you find something and you're hesitating, just like trust yourself and go for it, and you're going to get better at it, and your family's going to get better at it. And like the dynamics will get better the more that you go out and do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, especially with young kids, like never know how it's going to go down. I mean, you might get there and have a wonderful experience, or they just might be in a bad mood and just like be like, I don't want to do this. And it's like, okay, well, we'll just pack up and try again another time.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And can you share some of the Facebook groups that that you find to be good resources?
Yeah, so I always just type in location. So Raleigh Mom Group, Apex Cary Mom Group, North Raleigh Mom Group, just wherever you are. Also, there's just a lot of community groups. Oh, you know, a really good one is NC Tripping. They are a wonderful content creator that does the whole North Carolina, and they also have 2 little kids. And they have a Facebook group. They only cover North Carolina. So if you ask a question about like Virginia or Florida or something, they delete it. But it's really great for North Carolina. That's NC Tripping. The reason why I like some of the like wider mom groups is because I do ask questions about other states sometimes. Yeah, I would just look up wherever. If you're in Holly Springs, like look up that. The problem too is like, I don't know if these groups allow people that aren't moms, which is kind of frustrating, because then where are other people supposed to go? So I do think that there are awesome local groups just like for community, like Apex Community Resources, you know, or whatever. Just start searching, and then I would just start joining groups and seeing which ones are great, and then just getting out of the ones that are not great.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the moms group. I mean, as a father, I come across this moms group, and it's like to join. It's like, oh, I'm not a mom, and I don't want people to feel like I'm stalking the mom group, right?
Right. No, I get it. And that's why Triangle Families Explore is Triangle Families Explore.
Right.
I've always been so like aware of what about the dads and the grandparents and the caregivers and, you know, the 18 million other dynamics of what a family could look like.
That is such a good point. Like, you talk about the caregivers and the grandparents, like they're searching for stuff as well to do. It's like, yeah, the grandparents like, what do I do? I want to do something outside and fun. And it's like, they need that support too.
100%. And they are very vocal about giving feedback as well. Like, hey, I get a lot of questions from grandparents that are looking for things to do with their grandchildren. And that is so exciting and wonderful to me. So, and I love that they're on Instagram using Triangle Families Explore, because they really do use it as a resource.
Yeah, that's great. So going back to the store, what sort of activities are you doing in the store? And what's the name of the store?
Yes. So Little Oak Collective is a children's consignment boutique. It's in the neighborhood of 5 Points. So we're right across the street from Roanoke Park, which is wonderful. We love our location and are very, very grateful to be there. We've only been open for 4 months, and I think it's going to work. It's been going well, and it's been very fun, and it's been so wonderful to meet now all of these people in real life that have been supporting me all these years. But I do need to hire a few more team members. And part of the reason why I want to do that is so I can continue to build out these events. So in the past 4 months, we've done a few story times, and we've done where we bring in facilitators for experiences. And it's been so wonderful. And I really want to do more of that, because I have this space that is pretty centrally located for people in the Triangle. So story times for sure. And then fun, hands-on experiences for kids. My son is hosting a Pokemon trading card event at the store soon. So, it's just whatever. If you want to use the space, Fit for Mom is using the space on Tuesday nights for a workout program that they do. It's just now this space. I'm just so excited that I have this space where people come to me and they say, I want to do this thing and I need a space. I can be like, great, I've got a space, So it's really just open to anyone and anything that needs a space.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love it, man. My kids, Pokemon, they were really into that. Legos. I mean, gosh, you do anything with Legos. I mean, that would be, super.
Oh, that's a good idea. Just dump all the Legos on the floor and they would just be happy for the whole day.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So you've got the social media presence. You've opened the store as a entrepreneur. So for other mothers that are out there thinking about starting a business, are there any lessons or words of wisdoms you'd share with them?
I think that there was this very distinct moment for me before opening the store where I've learned that terror and excitement is the same thing. And it's this very fine line of am I terrified, or is this the most exciting thing that's ever happened? And this is just such a new experience for me, such a new feeling for me to experience. And when I took that first step over that first really terrifying / exciting feeling, it gets easier every time you have to step over that line. The first one was really scary. And I just trusted myself because all of these things were just so obvious that I had to go in this direction. And to not trust myself would have been the biggest disservice I could have ever done for myself or my kids or the community or this platform. When you get to that point where you're just that whole body feeling, you step over it, and then those things, they're going to keep happening, and those intensities are going to keep happening, but it actually does get easier. That trusting yourself and that knowing which direction to go, it gets easier. So I think if you're sitting at that point where you're just of uncertainty and being scared, but also being so excited, just to really, really, really trust yourself and go for it. If you have a good idea, then go for it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes me any different than someone that wants to start a business, is that I just decided okay, we're going to go for it. That's the only difference.
Right. And not to turn this into a psychology podcast, but the reason that you're terrified is probably fear of failure, fear of, uncertainty, as you mentioned. And I'm a big believer in Brene Brown. I don't know if you follow Brene Brown at all, but her her whole idea and philosophy is that really to be courageous requires you to be vulnerable. And to be vulnerable means you need to kind of put yourself out there, even if it does mean that you may not succeed, that you may fail, but to have the vulnerability to put yourself out there, and then therefore you're courageous. And so it sounds like that whole balance you mentioned of being, excited and terrorized at the same time. It's like the terrorize is like, well, I feel a little vulnerable, but then there's that excitement of what you want to do. Courageous part.
I think there's also the piece of it, like I think I hear people talk about so much this fear of failure, but I would love to hear people talk about the fear of success. Like I was actually terrified of success because I didn't trust myself that I was going to be smart enough, capable enough, like resourced enough to be able to put these systems in place to like keep up with the success. And that then I would like fail everyone because I had built this thing that was successful and I couldn't like keep up with it and it like crumbles. That was what was like scary for me anyway, I haven't fully figured it out yet, but it's also, it's sort of a different mindset, and not from any ounce of ego. It's more of just like, I was worried I wasn't enough for this thing that I knew that needed to happen, almost like undeserving of bringing it to life. Like that's where I've had to like work through it all, like, like self-worth and deservingness and just like you're capable and you can do this and you're smart and those sorts of things. That's kind of where my struggles lie. But day by day we're getting there.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. And it's just as much about the process of getting there as much as the end goal too. So you're learning so much along the way, which is great. So if you could, I have kind of a pop quiz question for you. If you could give parents a superpower, what would it be?
I think that if I could give parents a superpower, I would give them the ability to pause and to be able to breathe, because that's something that I think is so challenging, is like the reactivity of being a parent. And like our children are, so much all the time and we love them, but sometimes it's really hard to like take a beat. And I think that if parents just had that like intuitively, which we probably do, but I know for me, if I just all the time was able to slow down and like breathe before I do anything positive, negative, or neutral, I think that my days would probably be a lot smoother. And I think that that's something that we can work on. And I know that that's probably not something that all parents struggle with, but just to be able to slow down, and if I could give parents that ability to just like pause and breathe, and that presence it would provide.
I was going to ask, I was like, is it the ability to have more time, or is it the ability to be present? It's
not the ability to have more time. It's the ability to be present, because I think if we're taking those little tiny moments of presence, we actually end up having more time because we're prioritizing and we're not like doom scrolling on our phone. We're not doing the checkouts. Like we're not doing the things that are just like checking out to get us through the day, like having that extra cup of coffee maybe we shouldn't have. Like, it's the pausing to have the presence to just reprioritize everything. A little more just slowness.
Yeah, that makes sense. Totally. So yeah, the superpower of being present. I like it.
Yes.
So what's next for Triangle Families Explorer and Little Oak Collectives? Do you have any projects or plans you'd like to share with our listeners?
So Triangle Families Explore, I'm really trying to build out this solid team. I have one contributor right now who is a dream. And if you ever don't see my family, it's like some other family. This is Sarah. She's awesome. And I would love to have a few more people like Sarah all over the Triangle to helping create this content, because it is such a resource and I don't want it to slow down at all. So building a team is one thing, so we can just keep cranking out consistent, awesome content. That's what's on the agenda for Triangle Families Explore. And then for Little Oak Collective, so I've only been open for 4 months. So, just going to get through this first year and learn a ton and refine. And we already are starting to talk about potential second locations, which is so exciting because, of course, we want to reach as many families as we can. And we have people driving from all over, which we're grateful for, but we also only have so much capacity in this one store. So we are starting to talk about a potential second location. So that's maybe in the pipeline soon as well.
And what general area of the triangle are you exploring for that?
I'm not going to say just yet.
All right.
It's not Raleigh, though, obviously.
Clearly.
Yeah, I'm not going to say just yet.
Okay. Well, we'll stay tuned then.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Awesome. Well, this has been a great conversation, Cheyenne. Thank you so much. It's been really interesting to learn about your story, how you've been able to take your own needs to get out in the community, in the city, and in nature, and help parents, find those activities themselves. And so I appreciate the conversation today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, bye. Thanks.
And that wraps up another insightful episode of Parenting Pioneers. Today, we had the pleasure of diving into the world of family-friendly activities and community engagement with our esteemed guest, Cheyenne Levinson. From the inception of Triangle Families Explorer to the launch of Little Oak Collective, her journey is a testament to the power of community-driven initiatives and the importance of filling gaps in local services. A huge thank you to Cheyenne for joining us today and sharing her valuable insights and experiences. Her dedication to creating meaningful connections within the Triangle area is truly inspiring for parents everywhere. And thanks to you for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, share it with other parents, and leave us a review. Your support helps us reach more parents like you, offering guidance, stories, and a sense of community. And finally, thanks for sharing this moment with us. We look forward to the next one, and until then, go and be the best parent you can be. We're rooting for you.